find it quite interesting that Hoyoverse doesn't capitalize on releasing character skins more, especially because they could be used in some very interesting ways. So today, I thought it'd be fun to discuss what I mean by that. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. So part of why I started thinking about this actually has nothing to do with skins themselves, but rather Genshin's figurines. I collect figurines, and I have quite a large number of the Genshin Impact ones. They're absolutely brilliant, the quality is pretty good at least as far as I can see. I'm gonna go on a bit of a tirade, but stick with me here, I do have a point with all of this. Something strange that I noticed is that I feel like Hoyo takes forever to make figures of characters that would be obvious moneymakers. Why did it take them so long to make a Raiden Nendoroid? When will they put out a Raiden Shogun or Acheron scale figure? Because to me, it's a bit strange that they prioritized a new official and Fu Xuan figure over the more obvious choices. It does make for some interesting variety, and they have covered some of my favorites like Ganyu. However, it's a little odd that they just haven't really touched any of the more popular units. Okay, well in the case of physical merchandise, it's quite an obvious answer. These products take time to make, especially high-end figures, they don't just fall out of the sky. However, there's an interesting similarity here between Genshin figurines and skins. They choose the most random characters ever, while creating skins at the most spontaneous time intervals ever. They're avoiding the obvious moneymakers. Every single Archon or Dragon Sovereign would make bucket loads of cash for Hoyo if they got quality skins. And as you can see here with this specific Zhongli outfit, there are in fact alternate outfits for these characters available for Hoyo to take inspiration from. I'm not sure how they go about their selection process when it comes to choosing which character that they'd like to make merch on or a skin for. I suppose why I find this all interesting is because people have always said that Genshin should make more skins, but it looks like this randomness is prevalent in other areas too. Case in point, why do we have a Mona figure but no Farina or Nuvolette? Same can be applied to skins. Why do we often get skins for characters that are outdated in the meta, or are just generally not used that much? Sometimes they coincide a skin with a character's rerun. In other cases, you have situations like Ganyu and Shenhe, where their skins came out quite a long time after those two left the shelves, so there's not any particular logic there either. It did fit with a story at the time, but I'd say releasing the skins during the banner of the character makes more sense in my opinion. I feel like they dropped the whole banners need to be important to the story thing a while ago, because tell me friend, what contribution did Raiden Shogun or Kazuha make to the start of a Not Lot Archon quest? To be honest, I don't mind that they've dropped that. It was unsustainable anyways with how many characters that we're getting these days. Anyways, that's besides the point. Sometimes the skins are really good, like Diluc's. It gave the dude a much needed model update, along with giving the guy some sick new animations. However, this is the only 5-star skin that Genshin has ever introduced, despite the fact that the skin was extremely well received. That was all the way back in 2.8. Yeah, it's actually been that long since we got that skin, which is crazy for me to think about because it honestly didn't feel like that long ago. And what do you know, that skin was beloved by all despite having barely any story attached to it. Hoyo was kinda desperate to make sure that there was somewhat of a story link to his skin release, despite him not being in 2.8's main version event, so I ended up pulling something super random with ley lines. Who knows, honestly, it was kind of nonsensical, but the skin was good so it didn't matter. I don't mind getting some context behind the skins, in fact, lore for them is very welcome, but it shouldn't be something that entirely holds Hoyo back from making them if it doesn't work out. That's the same as the Pokemon Company having never made Mega Flygon just because they couldn't think of a good design for it. As for the choices of characters, okay, well, I suppose in the case of the figurines, it takes years to mass produce such a highly specific quality product. When it comes to character skins, I suppose I understand adding them in for standard characters that a lot of us have, but a Shenhe skin before a Raiden Shogun one is crazy. Because, you know, one's been gone for literal years, and the other was last back here in 5.0 while being one of the faces of Genshin. I'm not too concerned about the 4-star skins. Their choices tend to be pretty good, as a lot of us use Xingqiu and Fischl, with the likes of Kirara still being a pretty good unit. I also like most of the 4-star skin designs more than their base designs. I'm mostly focusing on the limited 5-star skins here. I do wonder if a character has to be quote-unquote old enough to get a skin. Like, hey buddy, you've been wearing the same clothes for 5 years ever since your release. Want to change? It'd do no harm to make some more as well. We need more 5-star skins like Diluc. I will say that the nice thing about focusing on older characters is that they often get a nice upgrade visually. Look at this. Ganyu's hair in her base form is more stiff compared to the improved hair animation with her skin. It's super subtle, but it's not a bad way to carefully power creep their old model quality with the significantly higher budget that Hoyo has now. However, I feel like Hoyo is missing out on more than just money by keeping skins so random and mostly only making 4-star skins. It could be used to buff kits. Hold your horses. Before you tell me why that's a terrible idea, hear me out. For starters, I completely understand if you think that skins should be kept as solely a cosmetic thing. However, here's the thing. Hoyoverse is not allowed to alter the kits of old characters directly. Buffs always have to be indirect, via new teammates and such. However, if skins were introduced, you could take an extremely old character such as our beloved Venti and switch to a new kit that fits the current meta more. To be honest, they don't even have to lock these behind skins. They could always simply make a switch that allows you to change into a new kit. It'd also be kind of irritable in the sense that these wouldn't be free-to-play accessible, which is why I propose this. They can make free, brand new model updates to the characters, which allow you to access an entirely different kit. People who have the other one at C1 to 6 will get the other one at C1 to 6 as well, right out of the box. Gotcha for them is out of the question. I'd say this would be a pretty easy way to update old characters that seriously need the kit updates, because it doesn't interfere with your base kit for people who would rather play that, along with offering a new option for those who are interested. This is mostly just food for thought. The idea itself is very rough and flawed in many ways, but hopefully you can kind of see where I'm coming from. I think if they were ever to do something like this, it probably wouldn't be through skins anyway. On another note, Diluc's skin was just a really good skin. I'm not sure why Hoyo was so averse to making more bold character redesigns like this. The animations and sound effects are brilliant, along with the added bonus of the more modern model quality. Well, 2.8 was a long time ago, but it was still a huge step up from the 1.0 budget. It was super popular among people. Like, I saw a ton of folks breaking their free-to-play status just to own that outfit. While I understand that sure, it's a lot of work to create those, surely it can't be so strenuous to the point where they could only ever do it to such a high quality degree once and then never again. Still, Hoyo's aversion to skins is pretty clear these days. Honkai Star Rail has been out for over 2 years at this point, with that game still having 0 skins. Genshin had a couple by that point, for instance, Keqing, Jean, and Barbara, and I heavily doubt that ZZZ is thinking of adding them in anytime soon. I suppose the reason that we find it weird with Genshin is because they're somewhat half-committal about it. They have shown clear interest in producing alternate skins, but will choose the most random 5-star characters to make them for, along with spreading them out widely. Like, hear me out. Jean and Barbara in 1.6, Keqing and Ningguang in 2.4, Diluc and Fischl in 2.8, Ayaka in 3.4, Klee and Kaya in 3.8, Ganyu and Shenhe and Xingqiu in 4.4, then most recently we had Nilou and Kirara in 4.8. They always take a couple of months at a time to make these. I think some more wouldn't hurt, especially if they're 4-star tier skins, as in they don't have special new voice lines or animations the same way that Diluc's skin does. I do think that they could release them a bit more often. It's not easy work, but with how many characters we have in the game at this stage, skins will be released at a super slow rate if this keeps up. And now for a little bonus round, skin reviews. Barbara's looks pretty decent, the ducky purse is cute, generally a nice look, I like it more than the base outfit. Jean, I actually much prefer her original form, as in the form that she had when the game was released, not the second form. It doesn't look bad by any means, I just think the knightly look is cooler. Ningguang, I really like this one, captures the character super well. It's difficult because I'm such a huge fan of her base design too, I can never choose which one I want to use more most of the time. Great skin. Keqing's is fantastic. I love the original too, so it's hard for me to pick which one I like more. Big fan of this, very good skin. Diluc's, need I say more than the fact that this is the most high effort one that Hoyo has ever released? I genuinely wish that they do this for more of their characters. I suppose part of the difficulty is that it's hard to improve upon a lot of the designs and sound effects already, but with Diluc he was a 1.0 character. Plus, there was a lot of demand for him to get a model update, so this was genuinely only an improvement. I don't think anybody would complain if they made this his main design. I actually like Fischl's skin a lot more than her original look. Love the shade of purple they used. Looks brilliant. Hoyo tends not to miss with the 4-star skins. I don't like Ayaka's skin. Listen, the reason is because of that darn hat. It reminds me too much of the Roblox cheese string hat. If it gave her literally any other hat or just no hat at all, then I'd be down. Lose the hat, woman, I beg of you. Klee's looks nice, I enjoy the gimmick. Otherwise, I don't really like kid characters, so I have nothing else to add here. Kaya's original design looks better. I don't really like this skin. I didn't bother to go claim it for free. Ganyu. How did Hoyo manage to make Peak twice in a row? Her original design is already one of my favorite female designs in all of Genshin Impact. Making Peak twice in a row is some insane work. The subtle improvements to her model quality are greatly welcome too. Excellent skin, I'm a huge fan. Shenhe has the same thing going for her, an already peak character somehow repeating history by deciding to be amazing again. I bought both the Ganyu and Shenhe skins at day one of their arrival, so even if Diluc's is technically the most high quality while being the biggest improvement to a character, these two have my favorite alternate outfits in the game. Xingqiu's is pretty decent, you can see the improvement in model quality. Looks really solid, I can't decide whether I like this more or his base form more. While Nilou's is really cute, one of my favorite things about her original design were the horns. I was actually gonna pull for her when she was first coming out because horns are one of the coolest things that a character can have in their design. Ended up skipping when I found out that the horns were fake as opposed to her actually being a beast of sorts. That was really disappointing. This skin removes any beast-like aspect of her, so I'm not super enticed by it. Excellently designed, just wish she kept the horns. Kirara's is easily an S-tier skin. The Puss in Boots reference not long after The Last Wish came out is so darn peak. It's really cute and is 100% an upgrade over the original. It's not even up for debate. Insanely good alternate design and the best 4-star, as in 4-star rarity characters, skin in the entire game. This has always been a debate in the community. Why doesn't Hoyo release more skins? Sure, once every few months is certainly more consistent than before where they basically never made them. However, I think a lot of people are willing to pay for these, and there's more for Hoyo to gain than lose with making these. I mostly found it interesting how the randomness of the units they select for these skins are equally as random as the units they choose to make 1/7 scale figures of. It's just as confusing in Honkai Star Rail, like a Ching Chue figure and Fu Shuan figure before an Acheron one. Make it make sense. Either way, this is all interesting food for thought. Hoyo has so many different ways they can utilize skins to their advantage, even in a meta context, if they so choose. Definitely let me know about what you think of all of this down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, for those who are not yet in the know, I've recently opened a ZZZ second channel. So if you're interested in some silly ZZZ content, head on over and subscribe. Hopefully this video was able to feed you some food for thought regarding the strange nature of Hoyo skin releases. This has been Juice, signing out, and do you think they'll ever make a shirtless lighter or Archon Venti skin? I'm asking for a friend, I swear.